Tonight, we've got a Reserse battle happening, Rick Ross versus French Montana. For those who don't know, Reserse was acquired by a larger media company and folded into the Complex network, so that's who's running things now. Both artists are using this moment to build momentum around an upcoming mixtape they're putting together in tribute to Max B. It's a smart promotional move, and honestly, it seems to be working, especially for French Montana. That lead record is really his song at its core, and there's something genuinely respectable about him using the platform to bring attention to Max B's legacy. As for watching the actual Reserse live, that's really a personal call. These events tend to be more enjoyable in highlight form. Both Ross and French have done these battles before, so the novelty is worn off a bit. French actually did a similar head-to-head format with Tory Lanez a while back through a different platform. Just check the clips the next morning and move on. Shifting over to the YNW Melly situation, his attorney, Drew Feinling, has released an official statement on Melly's behalf. The defense continues to file motions and extend the timeline of this case, and Feinling's statement takes direct aim at the conditions in which Melly has allegedly been held. The statement argues that those who observed the bond hearing should have been troubled by the evidence presented regarding his treatment, describing it as inhumane, and notes that the court still denied bond despite those concerns. Feinling also pointed out that his defense team, with decades of combined experience, has never encountered treatment this severe for a presumed innocent defendant. He even drew a comparison to a recent situation where a federal magistrate judge publicly apologized to someone accused in a presidential assassination attempt, highlighting what he sees as an inconsistency in how courts treat different defendants. Here's the reality, though. Defense attorneys are paid to advocate for their clients, and as long as this case stays active, the legal fees keep flowing. That's just how the system works. The lawyers are the ones who profit most when a case drags on, and this one has been going on for years. On a different note, Fat Joe recently claimed he sat down with the head of Instagram and essentially said the executive could personally boost his visibility on the platform. Now, Instagram is owned by Meta, with Mark Zuckerberg at the top, but Fat Joe was likely referring to Adam Modasseri, who runs Instagram directly. Here's the thing, though. No platform executive is going to privately promise anyone preferential algorithmic treatment. That's not how any of this actually works. The algorithm responds to engagement data, not handshake deals made in a private meeting. What most likely happened is that someone explained to Fat Joe what types of content tend to perform well, and he interpreted that conversation as a personal guarantee. On top of that, Fat Joe is already a well-known public figure, so his content is naturally going to gain traction because people already recognize him. That's not the algorithm doing him any favors. That's just fame working the way it always does. Also, on the YNW Melly front, the list of names and companies subpoenaed to testify in his upcoming trial has been made public, with the trial date currently set for August 24th. Among those called are financial institutions and major corporations, including American Airlines, which strongly suggests the prosecution is building a detailed financial paper trail. The theory being pursued is that Melly allegedly funded the killing of Dallas rapper Mo 3. It's a complicated angle to prove, and we'll have to wait and see how that argument holds up once things get underway in court. There's also been some public back and forth involving Young Thug and a figure named Rolo, who recently spoke out about the death of Marlo, Lil Baby's close associate, who was killed on an Atlanta highway under circumstances tied to an ongoing street conflict. Young Thug responded to Rolo's comments publicly, and Rolo fired back, essentially telling him to stay out of it. Young Thug's recent behavior online has raised a few eyebrows. It's been an unusual stretch for him, especially considering everything he's still navigating on the legal side of things. Jermaine Dupri also made headlines recently by claiming credit for creating the YN naming trend in hip-hop, pointing to his work with Criss Cross and Bow Wow as proof that he was the one who originally brought young talent into the genre. That's a pretty significant stretch, and while JD's contributions to hip-hop production are legitimate, bringing this up really only serves as a reminder of how unusual it was to repeatedly sign and closely mentor children in the music industry, some as young as 9 or 10 years old. It happened more than once, and a lot of people found it strange at the time. Some still do. Finally, NLE Choppa has publicly threatened a figure known as Chud the Builder, someone who has been circulating online for making openly racist statements. Choppa, who is from Memphis, said that if this individual ever comes to his city, he'll find a justifiable reason to handle things himself. The frustration behind that reaction is completely understandable. Racist behavior deserves to be confronted and called out, but making direct public threats, especially when you have children, a family, and a career to protect, is not the right move. Chud the Builder is going to face real consequences eventually, because that kind of behavior always catches up with people. Putting yourself at serious legal risk over it, though, isn't worth it. But to actually take that on yourself, to put your freedom on the line over someone like that, it just doesn't make sense. Making those kinds of public threats doesn't come across as tough, it comes across as reckless. You have a life, you have kids, you have people depending on you, and you're going to let someone who isn't worth your time trick you into throwing all of that away. That's not strength, that's a trap. NLE Choppa needs to step back and think bigger than this. Don't let petty, ignorant people cost you your freedom. That's exactly how the wrong people win. Moving along, Uncle Murda and Tony Yayo have been vocal about their confusion over why artists like Rick Ross still command the level of support and respect that he does. Ross didn't let that slide quietly. He fired back with a sharp and colorful response, taking a direct shot at Uncle Murda in classic Rick Ross fashion. It got people talking, which is honestly probably what everyone involved wanted. On top of that, there's been a conversation around the idea of bringing Gunplay into the mix for a podcast sit-down, which would be interesting given that Gunplay and Ross are no longer on good terms. Gunplay has already shown he's willing to sit down with G-Unit and speak openly, so there's clearly an appetite for that kind of candid conversation. It was even suggested that it could be done virtually if an in-person setting doesn't feel comfortable for him. On a completely different note, iShowSpeed has touched down in Jamaica, and it's going to be an experience. When you're a wealthy, globally recognized internet personality visiting a country where a lot of people are looking for opportunity, you become a target for attention in ways that aren't always easy to navigate. That's not a knock on Jamaica, it's just the reality of the situation. The people who are doing well there won't bat an eye, but the ones who approach him will likely be looking for something, and he needs to be prepared for that energy. Hopefully the trip goes smoothly. He gets to experience the real culture, the food, the streets, Kingston, all of it, and people let him enjoy it without turning it into a circus. He's been making his way through the Caribbean islands and having a genuinely good time, and Jamaica, being the cultural centerpiece of the Caribbean, whether people want to admit it or not, should be a highlight of the whole run.